You won't find a more passionate group of content marketers anywhere else in the world.
This is an event that celebrates all of the how-tos, and you're going to see some of the best and most world-renowned speakers and experts on this topic.
This is where you come to find your people. Join us for Content Marketing World 2022, September 13th through the 16th. We'll see you there.
Hello, everyone. It's Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. Thanks for joining me for this Monday Ask the CMWorld community live stream, where each time we dive into a new topic with an awesome guest from our CMWorld community. This live stream is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. We are the leading training and education organization for all things content marketing. You can learn more at contentmarketinginstitute.com, where we have all kinds of great articles, online events, ebooks, research, so much more education and information over there. All right, so if you joined me last week, as I said then, it may be summertime here in the US, but here at CMI, we are gearing up for our big event, the largest content marketing event on the planet, Content Marketing World. It's coming up September 13th through the 16th in Cleveland, Ohio, and online September 20th and the 21st. So over the next few months leading up to the event, we will be interviewing some amazing speakers who will be at the event. We'll give you a little taste of what you can expect. And you can see I have some information there, the website, and a little code you can use for registration scrolling there along the bottom of the screen. And as always, if you join me today, please say hello, give me a virtual wave, let me know where you are joining us from. If you have questions and comments at any point during the live stream, during the interview, please feel free to drop it in the comments and we will try to get to it. Okay, today's topic. Did you know that the BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, the BIPOC markets have a buying power of $4 trillion. That's trillion with a T. The world is evolving, especially the platforms we love to support. Therefore, it is important to understand the methods to market to diverse audiences. As marketers, we are responsible for the messaging and the mediums that we create in order to market our brand. So today, we're going to get some advice on how your company, your brand can tap into diverse marketing with a solid, inclusive marketing strategy. All right, today's guest I met for the first time last year. I'm a huge fan. Michelle Ngome is the founder of Line 25 Consulting, an agency that helps organizations create diversity and inclusive marketing strategies. She's a recipient of the Courageous Marketing Leader and Diversity in Business Awards for her efforts to launch the African American Marketing Association. Her contributions have been featured in publications like the Wall Street Journal, Entrepreneur, and Forbes. Michelle's the author of Network, Navigate, and Nurture, and the host of Networking with Michelle show. Michelle, let's get you up here. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Hey, everyone.
You remember, so last year was your very first time at Content Marketing World. You were speaking there. How was it?
Phenomenal. Yeah, it was great. It really was. I think Content Marketing World has been one of maybe 3 conferences on my bucket list. So to attend and speak was an absolute pleasure. And I think like the most important thing was having a chance to meet people from all over the world, like not just the US, but all over the world, right? And then to connect with them on LinkedIn or Twitter or even vice versa, right? To have all of these social media friends and colleagues and then to meet them in person, it was absolutely incredible.
It is. I have friends now from all over the world thanks to Content Marketing World. So,
Yeah.
All right, today we're going to talk about inclusive marketing. And you say if you don't have an inclusive marketing strategy, you don't have a growth marketing strategy. So what is inclusive marketing and why is it more important than ever?
Yeah, so inclusive marketing is really your strategic efforts to market to diverse communities. So this can include African Americans, Asian Americans, LGBTQ, Hispanic, people with disabilities, military women, all types of diverse communities. And it's important because America has always been a melting pot. And these communities, people, we have businesses, families, we're buying products, we're making income. We're consumers, whether it's B2B or B2C, we are consumers and we have decisions, we have buying power, decision making power. And I think it's important that marketers learn different demographics that they can include in their marketing efforts. And I think that's the main reason why it's important. I can go on and on, but I think that's the main thing. We're a melting pot, whether it's regional, national, global. People are buying stuff. How can they learn how to buy your product and services?
I mean, it's $4 trillion, like you said, right there on the table. Like, who doesn't want to tap into that? So what can organizations do to target these audiences? How do they understand them? Are they trying something new or tweaking what they're already doing?
Yeah, so the main thing is market research, right? So we're already doing it. But I think when it comes to market research, you really have to silo in, right? I think lots of times when we are creating these avatars, we're looking at a very broad lens. And we need that to start, but how can we hone in? Okay. So if there's a 34-year-old white man with a wife and 2 kids, what is he doing? Okay, great. Okay, so what is the Black man, the Hispanic man, the military person? What are these other demographics or really intersectionality? What are they doing and how can we tap into those communities as well? So market research, if you have anyone on your team and your organization, I would encourage to pull them in just to have a conversation. What do you find important to you? There's surveys, there's social listening, there's focus groups. Those are some of the low-hanging fruits I would try before you start to hire a consultant or influencers or other professionals to kind of help you with that.
If you're just joining us, I'm talking with Michelle Ngome with Lion 25 Consulting and the African American Marketing Association, talking about inclusive marketing strategies. If you have any questions for Michelle, please feel free to drop it in the comments. Michelle, you talk about language of inclusion, which I love. And why is it important to market to these diverse markets so they feel included, and tips on communicating to these audiences so they, buy into your brand?
So we know language is important. Language is how we navigate the world, whether it's on the macro scale or the micro scale. If you think about your workplace, right? I'm sure there's internal language that your company uses that if you were to step outside of that, they're like, what are you talking about? Right? Especially with acronyms. It's like, what does that stand for?
Yes.
Right. So language is how we communicate. And I think with that, we just have to be mindful of not just the actual words, but our tone. You know, how are we going to be intentional when we are communicating, when we are writing this caption or this blog post, or we're creating this visual to target this diverse community? Another thing that's really big right now is using your pronouns, right? So LinkedIn has done a good job allowing individuals to include their pronouns on their profile, and you see it. People do that on Zoom and Slack, and these different platforms. And I really feel like your attention has to meet your impact, right? Whether it's an individual or a collective. So that is why language is important. You want to make sure that you're communicating properly, and you just can't have a picture of a black person, right? Of maybe a black person having fun, but then you have this negative language, and you're like, oh, we're being diverse in our marketing. No, everything has to align. The language plus the visual provides content alignment.
And it's not like, oh, hey, it's like not checking boxes. Okay, we have a picture of an African American. Like you have to be authentic and
Absolutely.
intentional.
Absolutely.
So, talk a little bit, those are external marketing plans, but a big part of this, because going back to market research to understand, but it's actually also, have inclusive marketing in place in the first place. And that involves in creating inclusive teams. So why is it so important to have a diverse, inclusive team? And what's maybe something to consider when you actually are trying to create that?
Yeah, so I think this is really the foundation with the marketing team has to talk to the HR department, right? What do we need? What are the gaps within the marketing team and what needs to be filled? Because creating that inclusive team is going to help you come up with the visual content, the language, right? What are those things that you need to kind of run by? One thing that I realized, especially in the social media world, um, what culture influences, right? Whether it's Black, hip hop, Gen Z, culture moves and dictates these trending topics that we see as marketers, right? So, my best, it's kind of funny. I think I'm about 6 or 7 years older than my best friend, and I was like, "Well, I keep you around because you keep me hip, right?" So, so younger people dictate the culture; they influence things, right? That's why I like going back and talking to colleges all the time because it's like, "Hey, what's going on around here?" But when you have someone from Gen Z, they're going to tell you what's hot. They're going to tell you what's trending, right? If you have an African American person, maybe a Jewish person, and you're trying to create this campaign, you're going to be more mindful of the representation you need on your website in the video. Or maybe you're doing something, but because you're not part of the culture, you don't know it's wrong. But if you do have an inclusive team, they're going to be able to fact check you. And those are the important things why you need to have an inclusive team.
Are there any tips for creating that team? Anything to consider?
Yeah, so one thing you want to be mindful, and this is really important, determining if you're a marketer working for a brand or working for an agency, right? So you want to know who is your audience, which can be your consumer audience or it can be your client facing audience, right? So who's your audience? What are the type of campaigns or just overall marketing work that you are working on, right? And then from that, you're probably going to want to find people within that represent that communities, right? So there's a lot of organizations. One thing with the African American Marketing Association, we have a job board. There's a bunch of Black marketing groups. There's a few Hispanic marketing groups, freelancer groups, like different communities that you'll need to find to kind of pull from, whether it's about hiring or even finding influencers or consultants to kind of help you on the project that you're working on.
Oh, great. A great resource too on the African American Marketing Association site.
Yes. We have a job board, and there's a few other groups as well that have job boards.
All right. Jackson says language is an identity. It provides a big room for people to resonate with content for sure. Alexandra says, great, Michelle, excited to see her leading this conversation. And Pierre, say hello, Pierre. He shared a great resource. He did the presentation on the history of African American consumer market, has it evolved as part of the Juneteenth profile. So he's got that up there if you check that out. Thank you all for Pierre says marketing has emphasized psychographics. So that includes understanding cultural values as much as demographic metrics to your audience. Great point as well.
Yes, very good point.
And as you say, and you kind of talk about this in one of your presentations, is, you can make changes in your company, and sometimes it can be overwhelming to make a big change, but you can, making small incremental changes is important as well. Not like, oh, we're going to go in and create this huge inclusive, and that might be hard in a big organization, but say you can start small too.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's one of the toughest things in this climate right now. There's a very blurred line between marketing and advertising. So lots of times when we think about campaigns, we think about the advertising campaign. We think about the commercial that we see, whether it's online or on TV. So a lot of small business owners are like, okay, how can I become inclusive? So one, I go back to the visuals, right? Whether it's your website, as far as about you and the business, or just your blog post, right? Making sure that you have diverse, engaged pictures on your blog post. You're just more mindful about your blog post, on what you're writing and how you're writing. Is your website accessible to people with disabilities, neurodiversity, things of that nature? That's another thing. And one of the most important things I think small business owners can do when it comes to diverse marketing is getting involved with your community, right? When I was a marketing manager at a law firm, as far as size, we were a small law firm, but we created a diversity in law scholarship, right? So we already had 2 scholarships. Now we created a new one specifically for the BIPOC community, right? So little things like that goes a long ways. And, look, everyone can't compete with Nike, these big brands, but I'm pretty sure there's something that you can do within your community that can make a difference, even if it's volunteering. Maybe you volunteer or you mentor for an organization, a BIPOC organization. That says a lot.
Mm-hmm. You got to start somewhere, right? Right. All right, Michelle, we've only just tip of the iceberg on your presentation for Content Marketing World. So Michelle will be speaking this year, and you can register for the event and sign up for her session so you can learn more. Michelle, where, besides Content Marketing World in September, where can people connect with you, find you?
Yes, so my personal website is my first and last name, michellengome.com. Jackson, if you can go to aa-ma.org, you can learn more about the African American Marketing Association. Of course, LinkedIn is my favorite platform, so please connect with me there, send me a message, and I'm glad to continue this conversation or information.
Awesome. And as I said, of course, we hope to see all of you at Content Marketing World in September. Use that code down there. Head over to contentmarketingworld.com. Use the code LIVE100, and you can save $100 on your registration. And if you do sign up and go, please connect with Michelle and I, because we'd love to connect with you at the event. We were just talking about how great it is to connect with people. So we hope to connect with you there. All right. If we didn't get to your questions, we will get back to that. We will comment on there online and answer those for you. So thank you all for joining in the conversation. Thank you, Michelle, and I'll see you in September.
Yes, thank you.